r/relationships. Peach just says, I, 22F, am upset because a coworker, 22 meters, confessed feelings to me, even though we both have partners. I don't know how to handle the situation, because we work together and are in the same friend group. TL/DR, a coworker, 22 meters, called me, 22F, after hanging out with a group from work and confessed feelings, even though he has a girlfriend and I have a boyfriend. I'm upset because he put me in an awkward position and this seems to happen every time I make guy friends. I don't know how to handle this situation. Please read the whole text before commenting, because I'm afraid to sound stuck up, but I'm genuinely upset. I started working somewhere a month ago, and I met some friends here, and it made work genuinely fun. A group of 2 girls and 3 guys, all in our early 20s. I went out with them yesterday, and it was great. I even told them some personal things. I really love that group. Then afterwards one of the guys called me and confessed he is into me. Now, that isn't a bad thing, but he has a girlfriend and apparently lied to her about what group he went out with. I feel so sorry for the girl, and I will pressure him to tell her, because she doesn't deserve this stuff, and she deserves a better boyfriend. It is also weird, I have literally had like 5 conversations with this guy in total. I don't get it. I have a boyfriend too, and he knows that. I even told my new friends how much my boyfriend means to me and how he helped me out of my depression. I just don't understand why he would do this to his girlfriend and put me in that position too, especially after what I told them about my boyfriend. Like seriously, what did he expect me to say? I'm disappointed and it is a pattern. This is not the first time this happens. Almost every guy friend I make hits on me after a month or so. I know so many guys that are great, and I want to be friends with them. It just seems to happen every single time. Even when I think it won't. It makes me feel like I'll never be a person to a guy. I'm not a person, I'm a girl. I'm either sexually or romantically interesting, or I'm not interesting at all, and I hate it. I just want to get to know people and talk to them without other intentions. I stopped making one-on-one guy friends because they seem to take it the wrong way when I'm friendly, and I don't want to lead someone on or be mean. But I thought making friends in a group would be different. So because of this, I lost another friend group. I'm young and I don't know how to handle this correctly. I can't just keep hanging out with this group now. I feel like that won't be right to my partner. But I want to be friends with the others. I had a great time. But that means I'll have to be around him too, and I don't want to. I told the other girl in the group, mostly to warn her in case he is suddenly in love with her too. I did not tell the other guys. Before this all happened, he invited all of us to do something together again next week. But after I rejected him I got uninvited. Should I withdraw from the whole group? Or is there a way I can keep being friends with the others? Maybe someone has had a similar experience? I don't want him to lose the friend group either, even though it is clearly him that is messing stuff up. Edit. I would like to add that I told the guy immediately that I do not have any interest in anyone other than my boyfriend, and that this upsets me, and that I will distance myself from him. I texted my boyfriend what happened right after I hung up. Just want to make sure I'm understood. I'm not upset that he has feelings for me. He can't control his feelings. I'm upset he lied to his girlfriend. I'm upset he confessed feelings to me and put me into this position, even though he knows how much I love my partner. I'm upset I'm losing my new friend group and I'm not invited anymore. And I'm mostly upset because this is a pattern that keeps. It says. This used to happen to me a lot in 2013 to 2018. I'm 27F now. It was every time I tried to make friends on my own, boom, someone loves me again. 3 things I changed. 1. I purposely made myself uglier. This action had consequences on my self-esteem. 2. I only found friends in my boyfriend's friend group for a while. 3. We got married. Action 1. I went full gremlin mode. No makeup. Never did my hair. Only went to the gym and never wore anything flattering. I suddenly was a person to people and it was addicting. But 10 years later I'm struggling with how to look good and like the way I look. I never look in mirrors anymore. And video or pictures of me bring me down. I'm trying to fix this now. Action 2. I worked in manufacturing a lot. Male dominated industry. I just made work friends and never went out. But at the time me NBC joined car clubs. I was able to make friends through that. They were my BF's acquaintances and I zeroed in on make actual friends. Since they knew him first they didn't discuss feelings ever with me because they saw him as a person and wouldn't hurt him that way. 3. Marriage. I'm not actually sure if this has had an effect on my social life. We married right before the Great Panini. All I know is my work life in manufacturing really changed for the worse and I had to quit and work for the DMV. Yes. That DMV. Purgatory. I flippin' love it. But I have so many fantastic women role models in my life now. But hardly any men work there. But the friends I did make through bars or clubs or sport activities after have never once confessed feelings or made things weird ever. So now I'm trying to like the way I look again and I'm hoping I'll still be seen as a person. Hoping for the best. This is just my solution and it worked for me. But I took some losses for it. Like my self-esteem. It's not the best solution out there. But it's a Forced Ballas says. Just because a boyfriend has feelings for you and confessed them to you while having a girlfriend does not mean he's obligated to tell her so, nor does it really make sense for you to pressure him to do so. It's obviously not the best behavior, but he didn't cheat on her, he just expressed his interest in you. Part of the realities of dating at a young age is finding other young people attractive. People don't have to break up with each other just for having feelings for another person. By you pressuring him to tell her you're putting yourself in a precarious unprofessional situation. Set the very clear boundary and move on. There's no point in investing the emotional time and energy into your coworker's relationship. What do you expect becomes of it? If things are awkward now, imagine you're the reason he gets broken up with. How do you anticipate handling that situation? Obviously lying to his GF isn't great, but that should not be your problem and you're crossing the personal/professional divide by thinking it is. Alec Thewsome 23 says. As a guy I will say not all of us are like this way. I've been able to be good friends with female people and just be friends, and not being sex or romance into it at all. It does happen, and it seems you're just experiencing, boys who are just horny. In terms of what to do I'd be very careful about telling the GF. Not BC it isn't the right thing to do, but BC you work with this guy which means you have to interact with him. And you telling his GF may mean that he decides to make your life at work hell. So you're like walking a tightrope there. I actually think the most important people you need to tell are your friends. Maybe not all of them, but pick a couple that you really trust would have your back and tell them. If this guy starts spreading shit about you, you want to make sure that you have people who have your back. Reading this it kinda sounds like forming tribes in the workplace, but it's not about that. It's about preventing everyone from taking his side and turning against you. By having those people be your friends people will speak badly about you less, and you'll have people countering the rumors and what's going on. Mapalifum says. Why would you have to stop hanging out with a group? Western Feet says. Invite your BF when you hang out with the group after work. During work hours I would just sweep it under the rug and carry on like it didn't happen. Why should you lose your friends because someone is acting like a horny teenager? Don't sit beside this guy at lunch, but also don't exclude yourself. r/relationships. OHH now who says, my 25 meters, GF, 26F, of 4 years ignores me when she's with her 2 guy friends every weekend. I'm in a long distance relationship right now with my girlfriend of 4 years. She hangs out with her 2 guy friends literally every weekend for the past 3 months, gets drunk with them, has stayed over in their place many times, and ignores me the whole time she's there. We've had fights multiple times in this topic and she says she won't stay the night and drink, but hasn't kept her words. This has been going on for the past 5 to 6 months and we've been in really horrible fights about this. She tells me those friends are only source of fun for her in the new city and thinks I'm controlling her when I say I don't like her drinking and staying in their place. She initially didn't even tell them she's in a relationship and won't introduce me or talk about me with them. I've been staying thinking she's the one for me, but I've started doubting and don't want to feel the anxiety when she ignores me every time she's there. What should I do? I don't want to leave her. TL, doctor. GF hangs out with same 2 guy friends every weekend, drinks, and sleeps at their place, and ignores me the whole time. What should I do? HNM 133 says, the logical solution would be to leave. The signs are all too clear. Toby 110,218 says, what should I do? I don't want to leave her. Then you will continue to suffer. You're okay with her lying to you, hiding her relationship from her friends, and with her ignoring you for several hundred hours on end when she's with these 2 friends? I see many red flags here. Jazzcom says, well, she isn't in a long distance relationship, she just hasn't told you yet. Never split your GF's attention with another man. r/relationships. Fuzzicats_22 says, me 26F, messaged 29 meters on FB, but I deleted the message not realizing that they'll be notified I removed it. What shall I do? TL/DR messaged a guy on FB, not FB friends, but regretted it so deleted the message. I'm worried it will be awkward when I next see them, as they'd see I deleted the message and I don't know what to do/say. So I've recently started talking to someone I met through a social group. We have spoken a few times and we have a similar taste in music. I randomly decided to message them through FB, we aren't FB friends, by sending a song link, but I soon deleted it because I didn't want to come across as creepy. Then I found out that FB will notify the person when you delete a message. I'm freaking out, worried about the next time I see them, that they mention it or think I'm weird. What should I do? Natoonek says, tell him your cat accidentally sent him a message. American Ethnic says, stop worrying, frick, ain't promote it, you initiate the first point of news, you control the narrative. Traditional_deal_161 says, just be honest and tell him what happened. It's better to clear things up than let it become awkward. Actually full of shit says, lol, so I meant to message someone else from the group and somehow my brain ended up sending it to you. Not sure what I was thinking. r/relationships. Anonymous alcoholic says, already questioning relationship 5 months in. 26F, having serious doubts about my relationship W, 31 meters, and wondering if we move too fast. My boyfriend has been great, treats me really well, caring. But there's some stuff I feel like is gonna get in the way. Long term, travels a ton for work, IDK, if I'm comfortable with being alone so much. He dismisses my concerns, saying he'll spend time with me when he is around. He also wants to move to another state ASAP, which being alone would make even worse. I also feel like a big motivation for me being with him is because I want to move out of my crazy parents' house. I've heard if there's problems in the beginning it will only get worse. But I also feel like If I end this, I'll never meet someone else who treats me well and cares. And I want it to work out, but I'm having serious doubts. But every time I tell him my concerns, he just tries to make up ways to make me feel better. How do I figure this out? TL. Doctor, serious doubts in semi-new relationship. BF wants to move far away, but travels for work and it'd be alone, which is my main concern. Cafeteria monitor says, if you are questioning this early, then it's probably best to just end it. If I were you, I would be looking into the possibility of moving in with a roommate instead of a partner, as there's much less potential for abuse, and it's easier to leave if you need to. No Wallaby 5568 says, you are 26. It is ridiculous to think you'll never meet anyone else who treats you well and cares. It seems so common. People stay in unsatisfactory situations because they fear the unknown. Better a bad relationship that you know than being alone and looking for something better apparently. Magic Carpet 5846 says, if you're already having doubts, it's foolish to continue dating him. Long distance isn't sustainable long term, and if you don't have plans to move to be with him, you two are incompatible. He clearly will always prioritize his career for where he lives, and that's okay. I don't blame him, but it's also okay to not want to just follow someone. You should really think about things seriously, because the doubts don't go away, they get worse. And it'll hurt a lot less losing some you've known for 5 months than someone you've known and loved for 5 years. r/relationships. Jamzilm says, when affection feels like love but it isn't. It's been 9 months of him, 23, and I, 23, being more than friends, but not quite a relationship, which I'm fine with. Him graduating soon, has going off to grad school soon, a relationship just doesn't rank very high on either of our priority lists. I don't understand, though, how I'm the one he calls when something exciting happens or something upsets him, or how he can breathe the biggest sigh of relief when he sees me and latch onto me and refuse to let go, or how when we sleep together, he anticipates my every toss and turn and moves his body to best accommodate me, but he doesn't actually love me. His friends tell me this is the happiest has been. I've seen how, over time, has turned from being almost touch averse to the most affectionate any own's been with me. He told me that has never felt more comfortable around anyone, his best friends included. And he even wonders if he should go to a school closer so we can give this a try. But he just doesn't have those feelings for me. I guess I'm just curious to hear anyone else's story who's been in this position. I know a relationship would be out of the question right now, and shouldn't I be glad there's nothing complicating this? But, man, I just feel so thrown. How can it feel so much like love if it isn't? TL. Doctor, been seeing a guy and the affection feels more intense than a regular fling but it isn't. Curious to hear similar stories for support. Burton says, why are you so resistant to categorizing it as love? Skitten says, it sounds like he enjoys you. That's not the same thing as love at all. It's good and it's important, but it's not love. Love is when you value the other person's happiness and well-being. When what is good for them becomes a priority for you, because their benefit is your benefit, because you value their life being good. He may do that to a small degree, but not enough for it to qualify as love. He probably doesn't want anything bad to happen to you, but he's not going to make your quality of life a priority when he is making his plans, so it isn't love. r/relationships. Thrower@2347 says, my F23 boyfriend, M22, broke up with me after I forgot our anniversary. We have been dating for now just over a year. 2 months back he had said he had a plan for a date on our anniversary and to come to his house on it. Problem is, I forgot. I in a previous relationship didn't see an anniversary as being very special and neither did my ex. Some friends invited me to hang out that morning. And during that time I didn't check my phone. It wasn't until 8 o'clock at night that I saw his texts asking where the hell I was. When I responded, he just told me come to my house. We need to talk in person. Now, when I got there, he just started yelling at me. Accused me of not valuing our relationship. I could tell he was holding back tears. I asked what I could do to make things right. He just said you can't. Get the frick out and never come back. I'm done. Then he told me if I didn't get out within 5 minutes he'd consider me an intruder and call the police. Bloody hell. I really was in love with him. But I edit all. TLDR, boyfriend broke up with me after I forgot our anniversary. ILeave_art says. Yeah. I don't blame him. Unless you're at work or something equally valid took your time. I doubt you didn't glance at your phone at least once even to check the time. I would be heartbroken in his position too. NGL. Skitten says. You both did. In a relationship, before the first gift giving occasion, you should discuss and agree on how to handle them. And you should both discuss how you want to handle anniversaries. Neither of you did, so you are both equally to blame on that. You did mess up by forgetting and not being in touch. But it does not justify him yelling at you. Him breaking up with you is fine, but doing so in an abusive manner is not. There wasn't much potential here that you lost. McMurmel says. You didn't check your phone from the morning until 8 at night. Why would at some point in the day check your phone? By your own admission you said you were just hanging out with friends. What if there had been an emergency? I can see why he was really upset. You gave it a shot to try to make it right and he told you to F off. Leave him be and move on with your life. Unless he contact you, don't call him. r/relationships. Nerixis 234 says. Not sure what I'm doing with this girl. I'm 26 meters 24. We've been on 3 dates going on 4th today. Just kinda having fun. I've asked her what she wants and she says she doesn't know. Says she doesn't want marriage or anything. She brought that up till 30s. Neither do I. Said she only wants positive right now. I don't really know what I want either. It's fun hanging with her. It's fun with the sex too. But I don't know if I want her to be my long-term GF or not. Don't think I'm actually ready for that right now. And not sure she'd be the one I decided to commit to. But I'm enjoying it. So I don't know what to do. I normally date quite seriously and panic when I see all my friends around me getting married. And I do worry that if I don't up becoming official with her we're just wasting time. But does this mean I need to stop seeing her? I know it's early. But what if she isn't the one I want to make my GF? Can I still carry on RN? TL, doctor worried about what I'm doing with this girl. Diggy McGriss says. This is called a fling. And they're fine to have, as long as everyone involved knows the deal. Which it sounds like you do. Your biggest issue here is the belief that this has to evolve into something to still be a worthwhile endeavor. If that's your feeling on the matter, no exceptions, bail now. You're not invested in this, and you're not built for flings. But if you can just be okay with hitting the snooze button on finding the one, stick around until it stops being worth it. Make your peace right now with the likely end of this being one of you telling the other I think we are done. And then parting with the emotional equivalent of a handshake. Which is fine. r/relationships. 171,433 says. I, 30 meters, don't really care about anything in my life. TL. Doctor, I don't really care about anything, and I don't drive and don't work. I have nothing to offer anyone. I, 30 meters, don't really care about anything in my life. I was born premature. I had a lot of health problems. I was homeschooled until I went to college, so I never really had any friends. Whenever I would say something to my dad about me learning to how drive, he would always say I wasn't ready. I need to learn how to ride a bike first. The funny thing is my dad bought me a bike, but never once tried to teach me how to ride the bike. I would just try to ride the bike and I usually didn't fall, but the bike would usually fall hitting my leg, which caused bad bruising. To where my dad told me to stop trying to ride the bike for a while. Then months later, after my bruises healed, he had the idea of getting training wheels to try to help, but the wheels were so big that they didn't work right. You can't even turn the bike. So my dad gave up on learning to ride bike. Years went by, and he finally mentioned to my sister about teaching me how to drive. And she did start trying to teach me, but it wasn't consistent. And then she got pregnant and didn't have time after having the baby. It's not her fault, but I still don't know how to drive. Then the other thing is I don't have a job. And my dad says if I get a job it'll be kicked off his insurance, and if that happens he's going to bring me my medical bills and tell me he's sorry, but he can't pay them. So here I'm stuck, no job, I can't drive. Why would anyone want to be with me? I have nothing to offer anyone. The one person I've ever liked I started talking to online like 10 years ago. And they liked me, but I wasn't sure how I felt until a few years later. But they say they don't feel that way about me anymore and just sees me as a friend. So really have nothing that matters to me and nothing to offer anyone, just felt like talking, I guess. Hattie_41182 says, it sounds like you've had a really tough time. Remember that you deserve love and happiness just like everyone else, even if it doesn't feel like it right now. Don't be too hard on yourself and take things one day at a time. r/relationships. Melon22 says, I, 23F, am crazy about a guy, 24 meters, who doesn't give a damn about me and it hurts. I can't seem to get over this guy. I really like him. He's my friend's roommate, and we did talk for a bit. He asked me out a couple times, and then one day we kissed, and after that he never messaged me or said anything. He did tell me he doesn't want a relationship, which I understand, but IDK, what went wrong after that day? Like, why did he stop talking to me? We also have the same friend group, so I do still see him here and there. Even though I never dated him, it hurts me so much because I'm a complete nobody to him. On Valentine's Day he gave all my friends flowers except me. Although I understand why he probably didn't want to give me flowers, cause he didn't want me to get the wrong idea. Also the other day my friends and I were planning to go to a concert, and he was also supposed to come. And he ended up getting everyone tickets except for me. It was kinda also my friend's fault too, that they didn't include me, which is a whole other story. But it's just the fact that he was showing so much interest in me and all of a sudden he stopped and doesn't give a damn about me. Which hurts me so bad cause I think about him all the time. He also talks about other girls in front of me. I don't know what to do. TLDR, I'm crazy about a guy who I thought liked me, but apparently doesn't like me anymore and doesn't give a shit about me. I feel hurt. What do I? Change Your Off Bits says, what was your response when he asked you out? The only scheming thing I can see is that he's upset you turned him down at first. But it sounds like kiss wasn't that great for him and he's just not interested. He would rather avoid you, and I think that would do you some good too. Bebo1911 says, he don't deserve your love. Rose's brain says, and he ended up getting everyone tickets except for me. It was kinda also my friend's fault too, that they didn't include me, which is a whole other story. Hang out with other people. It stops hurting as much when you don't see someone regularly, and it sounds like you could use more people in your life who are more considerate of you, so go seek them. VIPB2 says, you did nothing wrong. He just isn't that into you. Just like you are not into some guys you are acquainted with. Move on. Be thankful he didn't juice you for 6 and then dump you. Also, doesn't give a shit may be a bit harsh. He respected you by not using you or leading you on. No Wallaby 5568 says, move on, live your life. The pain is temporary and in time it will be gone. Samzaki says, I mean he's not maliciously harming you, he just doesn't want to be with you and you should understand that. r/relationships. Ad_Luna says, do I owe him my support even if it is intensely painful for me? I, 71F, have a friend, 65 meters, of 40 plus years. Over the past 15 years he has become reclusive and a hoarder. He lives 2 hours away, so we communicate through email, texts, and phone calls, and have only met F2F about 3 times in the last decade. He has a few medical issues that have, over the past few years gotten more serious, and have required a few of surgeries. Because he has drank to excess every day for years, and taken whatever recipe meds he can talk his doctors into prescribing, Xanax, muscle relaxants, etc. They have contributed to the downward decline of his health. He not only refuses to do anything to get better, he is convinced that he knows better than his PCP, his cardiologist, and his gastroenterologist, and frequently ignores their advice to make the lifestyle changes that could improve his health. We have discussed his plan to commit suicide when he decides he can't take the pain anymore. I've told him numerous times how his death will be excruciatingly painful for me as he is one of my few remaining friends. I've tried everything I can think of to encourage him to make positive changes, such as getting out of the house, cutting way down on the alcohol and drugs, and following his doctor's advice. It just pisses him off that I'll lecture him, and we end our conversations on a sour note. When I fail to respond quickly enough to his emails, texts, etc., he'll send me something that's suggesting he's about to do it, or he'll send me a photo such as the bloody ones where he has deliberately cut himself. I'm aware that that is manipulative behavior, but since I care about him, I always call immediately. That usually just turns into me listening to him talk and talk, but rarely about his serious issues. He just wanted to talk to someone, and I'm an easy mark. // TL, doctor, / my question is this, should I save myself the constant worry, anxiety, and emotional pain by cutting down, or even off, communication with him? Would that make me a bad person? Or should I just suck it up, and keep allowing him to practice the emotional blackmail that has been constant and draining? Suspicious_Jeweler81 says, yes, and no, it doesn't make you a bad person. You've done everything you could do, over and beyond. Life is short, you can't go around living someone else's. Imaginary_Mountain55 says, this relationship sounds unpleasant and unhealthy. You say he is one of your few remaining friends. Think about joining activity groups, going to a senior center, doing volunteer work, anything you can do to be around new people and hopefully meet some new friends who would be more stable and able to provide you with healthy friendship. Cut down contact with this man to only enough that you feel comfortable with, even if that means cutting him off completely. Skitton says, it would not make you a bad person to stop communicating or communicate less with someone who is deliberately abusing you. However, it is also pointless and rude for you to keep trying to convince him to have healthier habits. Your wrong is smaller than his wrong, but it still is a behavior you should get rid of, with him and with anyone else. r/relationships. GwegGenNinJZ says, Am I overreacting? Me, 25 meters, and my friend, 24F, have been friends for 5 years with the same small group of friends. She was in a 4-year relationship until she broke up with her ex in August. Me and her started hooking up in October and we both said from the start that we could be FWB. She started catching feelings a month into it and I told her I liked her a lot too, but she was still communicating to her ex, which felt to me like her words were not matching her actions. She hung out with his family on Christmas Eve and that pissed me off. When I called her out on that, she said, "Let's just take a step back." 2 days after she said, "Let's take a step back," she tells me to come over. We hang out for 2 more weeks after I called her out, and we were talking still pretty much every day. Then she just starts distancing herself and stopped replying, so I got the hint to leave her alone. 2 weeks go by with no contact, and on Valentine's Day that night she calls and texts me she's drunk and about to drive home and needs someone to talk to. I don't answer to either. 2 more weeks go by after that, and she asks me if I can keep a secret. We've told each other deep things in the past, so I responded yeah, and she tells me whatever. Meanwhile, I haven't talked to her in a month since she distanced herself, and I told her I thought it was disrespectful that she couldn't be honest with me and say she didn't want to continue talking/hanging out. She apologized for it and said she thought she was handling it the best way by just ghosting me. She still wants to see me, but I told her I want space. Am I overreacting here, or am I right to be upset about how she handled things? TLDR, friend of 5 years and FWB for 4 months cut me off, but then 2 weeks later is texting me to talk to her, and last week she calls and tells me she misses me and keeps thinking about me. I haven't seen her in over a month now and kind of miss her, but also feel like I was disrespected and don't know if I'm overreacting since we technically didn't date and I knew it was FWB from the start. Should I see her again? Carp Grinder says she admitted to ghosting you because she thought it was the best way to handling the situation. What a shitty move, and I'd say your reaction is valid. She's obviously not over her ex. The longer you dwell on her, the more pain you will suffer. Grotius and Pufendorf says sounds like she just calls you when she's drunk or lonely. If she really liked you, she would be behaving very differently than she is right now. So see her again if you're okay with being used like that. But if you want an actual relationship with someone who actually likes you and puts consistent effort in, she's not it. r/relationships. OK Gisa Cake 4822 says my F22 life came crashing down less than a month after my ex, M24, left, and now everyone thinks I'm lying. Warning, talk of miscarriage and cancer. My 22F, ex, M24, were together for 10 months. We went through a lot of stuff, including his dad being in the hospital, him losing his job, etc. Also him always following half-naked chicks on Instagram, messaging girls on OV, etc. We broke up at the end of January, and he told me it was because he needed to work on himself, but that we could still keep in contact. Every time we talked we would say we missed each other and how we would eventually want to revisit, talking about all of the stuff we still had to do together, etc. He eventually stopped answering, and I told him I was done completely because when we did talk he would act like he still missed me, etc., then completely ignore my existence and be hurtful. Well, earlier this month I found out I was sick and have cancer in my kidneys. I've been sick for the past year with issues with my kidneys in which I was taking medication for, but stopped because I thought I had been getting better. Before I told him I was done, I called him to ask me to bring me to the hospital and he didn't answer, didn't even check to see if I was okay. That's when I had found out I had cancer. I then had a miscarriage a week later, hadn't been with anyone else but him. A few days later, when I went back to the hospital I found out I was suffering from loss Twin syndrome in which one baby dies and the other survives. I called him to tell him, and he blocked me. Now I have people messaging me telling me I'm a liar, and that I'm just trying to trap him, even though I told him I had proof, and he could come see it for himself. I sent one of his friends a video of me taking a pregnancy test, and it coming up positive. Now everyone seems to hate me, and thinks I'm lying even though I'm not. I know it's a short time after we broke up and it all seems kind of crazy, but I can't really control that, can I? So now I don't know what to do. TL. Doctor, my sickness is back, and I'm also pregnant with my ex's baby and everyone including him thinks I'm lying. Natajidi says. Let them think whatever they want. If you choose to go through with the pregnancy, hit him for every cent of child support you can. Consistent Cheesecake says. Block all those people. They don't matter. Focus on your health and your own family and friends. If you carry the pregnancy to term, get a paternity test. Hilotbilla says. I don't know what to do. If you decide to keep the baby you can get a DNA test and get child support from him. You can't get his approval or his love, nor that of his friends. Floridorito says. You're 22, have a serious medical issue to deal with, are broken up with your ex-BF who wants nothing to do with you. Seems like a no-brainer to me. r/relationships. If Fluorescent says. Really need advice on weird pictures that I found, kinda NSFW? Hey everyone, hoping to get some advice on my current situation. So my boyfriend, 26 meters, and I, 26F, have been together for almost 7 years and lived together. Our relationship has been a bit rocky lately, and I have a bit of a suspicion that he may be cheating. Tonight I decided to look through his computer, I know, not my finest moment, and I found some major red flags in his recently deleted photos. Among them was a screenshot of a text with a girl I think he may be cheating with, a lot of his own nudes, but most alarmingly some of my nudes. But not the ones I originally sent him. There were copies of my nudes with random dicks superimposed on them, like one between my boobs, one that was a mirror selfie with some random naked man superimposed onto it. And I think probably the worst was that there were pictures with my nudes on a computer screen, with some random guy jerking off to them. The guy in the pictures was not my boyfriend, and the computer that my photos were on does not belong to either one of us. I'm kind of freaking out and really could use some advice. TL/DR, my boyfriend might be cheating and doing really strange things with nudes that I sent him. And possibly sending them to other men. Devil Dogfish says. If I were you, I would want to take legal actions. Sounds like he's sending pics to his friends or selling them. Please save the evidence. Take photos. Ecstatic Sock 8482 says. Dump that creep as soon as possible. Ernest Batchelder says. He is sharing your pictures and asking other men to send him pics of what they are doing with them. WTF. All of this is a ghastly no, but that's a next level violation. 1. You need to screenshot everything, confront him, and watch him as he deletes every file off of his laptop, from any backups, his phone, and the cloud. Don't threaten to break up with him during this part, you need him to think he's saving the relationship so he's willing. Then leave and never look back. 2. Don't want to do that, then go through everything yourself, get all of it from all possible sources, including phones, cloud and backup, then run away. I'm so sorry this has happened to you. You have every right to be very freaked out. Gingerlorax says. Oh no. Please make proof, send the photos to yourself, whatever, and then delete them permanently from his computer. Confront him and absolutely end things and maybe see if there's a way to take legal action if he's sending your nudes to people without your consent. Squawf 522 says. Take his hard drive and put it in the microwave. Then nope out of there. r/relationships. Violet Evenings says, I, F20, never have enough space in bed with my partner, M23. I love my partner to death, but he falls asleep before me every night and takes up the whole bed. He is not easy to maneuver back to his side either lol. He sleep talks and snores as well. Love cuddles but not so much when he's snoring right in my ear and has locked his arms around me. He is too good to me to ever complain to him though. I'm happy to endure this if it means I get to sleep next to him every night. Just felt like sharing my experience, and if anyone has any suggestions feel free to provide them. We've been together for just under a year now and have been sharing a bed for most of our relationship. TL. Doctor partner snores, sleep talks, and takes up the entire bed every night. Lil Green Goddess says, same issue. I've mastered the old tuck and roll. Embarrassed_era 365 says, me and my wife sleep in separate rooms and it's the best. I snore and keep her awake. I thought I would hate not being close to her, but it's actually been great, lol. Nanogram 333 says, a body pillow in between you might be good. Blue Collar Nerd says, king beds are worth every penny. Will never go back. Gives both people plenty of room. OK Smoke 9195 says, just wait until you have children and a dog. Cafeteria Monitor says, he is too good to me to ever complain to him though, just tell him. Sure, he's great, and part of his greatness is probably that if you were having a hard time sleeping because of him, he would want to do something about it. Maybe you can use the body pillow to create your own area, or you can come up with a method to kick him onto his own side, or he can just be more mindful of how he falls asleep. Skitten says, how big is your bed? A big bed and separate blankets really benefited my relationship. We can still snuggle with separate blankets, but there's less risk of one of us getting our sleep disturbed by sudden nighttime loss of blanket from the other person. Pull it all to one side. Thiscoldba Massive says, some people just can't share a bed. This is why there are loving couples out there who have separate beds, and sometimes even separate rooms that they sleep in. Doesn't stop them from hopping in the same bed for cuddles and sex, but when the time comes to sleep, they go off to their own space and get their blissful ZZZS. r/relationships. I'm not from here 05 says, good or bad boyfriend? Good or bad boyfriend? Good or bad boyfriend? My boyfriend, 27, and I, the girlfriend, 28, have been dating for almost 3 years. The first 8 months of our relationship was a nightmare because he treated me like shit. But we both worked on our relationship, and ever since then, has been really good to me. Every time I come home from my stressful job, he makes sure there's food on the table. He takes my car and get gas at night, so I won't have to in the morning. The list goes on. We haven't been intimate in a while, and I've been feeling that we have been disconnected. I never had to worry about him with other girls because I know that he only likes me and only likes to hang with me. I've seen his phone before, and he trolls the girls who reach out to him on his DMs. Yesterday, I checked his phone because I just had the biggest hunch, then boom. He commented on a girl's selfie 4x on different days saying, why are you so perfect, you're so cute, etc. He said it meant nothing and has just been lonely and had no one to talk to. IDK what to do tbh. It sounds like it's a small thing, but it's a huge issue to me, especially I've been cheated on multiple times. Don't know what to do TL. Doctor, good boyfriend relied on some own story saying, why are you so perfect, because he was lonely. Should I still be with? Herdingcuts 2020 says, no. Snooping is not the way to fix a disconnect. If he's not cheated, quit treating him like a cheater. Talk to him about how you're feeling. Obviously he's feeling the disconnect too. Bringing up the early months of your relationship has nothing to do with this either, rather than to make him look bad. I'm not from here 05 says. Thanks to everyone who commented, but for clarification, he wasn't the one who cheated on me multiple times. It was my BF before him. This is the first time he's done something like this. Smashed_Adams says. He's cheating. He didn't even say sorry, he instead blamed you. Subreddit says. Honey, please, have more self-respect than this. You deserve so much better than a man who does the bare minimum of what could be considered nice, then turns around and hits on other women behind your back. Cafeteria Monitor says. Why stay with somebody who treated you like shit for 8 months? The comments are definitely an issue, and so is the way he is being dismissive of your concerns. Somebody who treats you like shit for 8 months doesn't respect you as a person and is more likely to cheat on you or just generally continue to treat you poorly. r/relationships. Real_establishment 99 says. My BF, 25 meters, broke up with me, 29F, was blocking him a good idea? I'm doing no contact. It's only been a couple days, but I refuse to break contact mostly because of pride. Part of me wants him to reach out, but every day that passes it does get easier, then I get sad that one day I won't care. We dated for a year, but started long distance 6 months ago, and we thought we could make it work, but I think deep down he wanted to be single while in college. My only regret is that I was hopeful that he would come back, and I think he knew that. He told me we would be together again, and he asked if he can have my promise ring so he can give it back to me one day. At the time this seemed like a sweet gesture, but now I hate that he's giving me false hope. I hate that he sees me as an option once he's ready. He used to adore me and promise me the world, but now he's made it that he wants to come back when he's ready. I didn't realize it then, but now I do. I decided to block him on my social media because he said he didn't want to, because he plans to talk to me again one day. I said that what he was doing was not fair and I can't wait for him. He said he understood, but that he won't delete me. I said okay. I didn't tell him I would block him, but I did it, and it felt like for once I had my power back. I want him to know that me doing that was my way of saying you don't get to come back when you want to. This is what you wanted. TLDR, I feel good about it, but people are telling me to add him so he can see how good I'm doing without him, but IDK, was it the right move? It felt like at the time, and if he wanted to contact me, I'm sure he'll find a way. I also want to know why he was promising to come back one day. My only assumption is he sees me as someone he wants to be with, but when he's ready, and he thinks I'll be waiting while he has. Thiscoldba Massive says. Stay blocked. The easiest way to get over a relationship is out of sight, out of mind. If you are trying to rub your life in his face, that means you aren't over him. Some part of you still wants to be involved with him. It doesn't matter why he said that to you. What matters is that a good relationship with him is never going to happen. You've already wasted too much of your life on this guy. Block him until you've stopped thinking or caring about him. r/relationships. Jgom says. My biological dad, 47 meters, wants to reconcile with me, 24F. A little backstory, my mom and my biological dad were high school lovers, but they never married. My family is poor, so when my mom had me, she was solely working hard to support me. At that time my biological dad was a drug addict and alcoholic. My mom purchased a house in a nicer neighborhood. He came to live with us along with my grandparents. He got into a few jobs, but he would get fired. My grandparents hated him and eventually kicked him out. That was about 20 years ago. He hasn't come back since he was kicked out, even though he knew where we lived. Whenever I would ask my grandmother about him, she would say mean things about him. I asked my aunt that knew him in high school and she said positive things about him, so I gave him the benefit of the doubt. Fast forward, my mom got married and I moved to another country with her and her husband. I got along with my stepfather, whom I consider my actual dad. He's selfless, protective, and not afraid to show his emotions. One day my biological dad added me on Facebook. At first I was afraid to accept his request, then I gave it time and friended him. I viewed his profile, and he seems like he has a solid job and has his own family. He messaged me. I kinda hesitated but responded. He seemed polite and would always tell me love you at the end of every message. Recently, he has been inquisitive of what I've been doing with life and I answered honestly. He even said to me he would want to meet me one day. I was touched by this. I told my grandmother what happened and she frowned upon this idea, then proceeded to say more bad things about him. I feel in my heart that I don't want to close off on him. I would want to meet him as well and create a bond with him. TL. Doctor, my dad wants to reconcile with me after 20 years, but my grandma made me feel bad for wanting to. She would say a lot of bad things about him. He reached out to me and anticipates to meet up with me one day. Even though he has his own family now, I want to. I told my mom, and she said she is totally okay with this idea. Am I too naive/pushover for this, or is this normal? Would it be so wrong to let him in my? ZSH 958 says. He had a couple of years to contact you. If you would be my daughter, under any circumstances I would just leave you. This will just cause you pain and anger later, so don't do it. You are fine now. You can continue like that. Caden LW says. It is not wrong. Your grandmother remembers him as the person he was, not as he is now. I encourage you to meet him. Cockosness says. There's nothing wrong with you wanting to reconnect with your dad. Your mom supports this. But just tread carefully. While it's easy for him to write nice Facebook messages to you, it has taken him 2 decades to contact you. So that is a huge character flaw on him. Just remember, people who are in your life now and have always been in your life have feelings too. Don't let the new shiny connection with your dad to make you hurt the people who have always been in your life, your whole life. And while your grandmother is in the wrong bad-mouthing your father, she was also there when your father messed up and had to kick him out of her house due to his behavior and actions. She's been there to pick up the pieces every time your father messed up. And that's the image she has of your dad, because that's the only image your father has portrayed. And he has had 2 decades to provide another image too. r/relationships. Excellent Abracoma 53 says. Roommate, 24F, eats food without asking. I, 24F, share a flat with 2 girls my age. Me and my one roommate, let's call her Mary, have noticed that our food often disappears. For example, once I had bought a big pack of biscuits for breakfast, like 1 kilogram, and in around 6 days, only 4 were left. I brushed it off thinking I was mistaken, or they had eaten them without telling me, but didn't care much. Then, Mary told me that when she was alone at home with the other girl, let's call her June, food disappeared from her pantry too. It was an entire packet of something as well, and when she said she couldn't find it, June said she did not see them anywhere. We confronted these 2 episodes and thought they were very similar but very minor. Nothing happened for a while, and now I noticed my almost new peanut butter jar was half empty and Mary noticed all her tea bags had gone. Sometimes, the amount of food which disappears is way too much for one person, like the entire bag of cookies or half a jar of peanut butter, so I was wondering if she has an Ed binges and then is too ashamed to admit it. I honestly don't want to make a big deal about it, it happened only twice, but I was wondering how someone would go on about a conversation on this topic without hurting her feelings or making her react negatively if she does it due to an addition. TL. Doctor, my roommate eats my food without. K_N0RRIS says. Or she could just be a greedy pig. Seriously, just call a house meeting and don't mention anything about an eating disorder. If you two both agree that she's eating all y'all's food, then confront her on it and ask her not to eat your food without replacing it within the same day. You're well within your right to do so, especially if you all share groceries. If that becomes an issue, then you'll have to keep your snacks in your room. It sucks, but everybody doesn't get blessed with great roommates. Some steal and take more than their fair share. And it's your responsibility to make sure that you eat what you want/need. It's not on them to save you some. Elotbilla says. Don't diagnose her, just let know that your food is yours and you would like her to please ask if she wants to borrow some. Hey girls, I've noticed some of my food is missing. Could you let me know if you or any of your friends want to borrow something? Keep it business-like. Throwaway 2,161,980 says. It's not your place to try to diagnose anything. You simply say, hey y'all. Whoever is eating my food, knock it off. If it continues, confront her. Don't make a mountain out of a molehill. That's all for this video. Was it good? I know not, for I'm a robot. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. This video is the product of an automated process.